my neighbor so and so has been tangu aombewe has changed and may want the same change. So he said, aliombewa wapi? Aliombewa kwa kanisa ya Neno Nganga. He said, oh, you missed it. It is the first church on El Selassie. So you have to go back with the matatu, go back up to the roundabout. I realized we are the third. You come, if you're coming, pass through. The first one is Neno. You come to Bunyala, then you come to South B over here. So go back. Because the person is not looking for God. The person is not looking for God. The person is looking for a miracle. The person is looking for a prophecy. The person doesn't want God. And that's the problem. When we come to church, it is an agreement. It's a covenant that you're getting into, a binding covenant. So somebody wants life. You want life abundant without the giver of life. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. That's why I'm saying there's an order that God has put. So somebody, as long as, and this is what I found out, most Christians, if they had the things of this world, they'll have nothing to do with God. In fact, most of the reasons why we are in church is because we don't have. But I want you to see in a situation that you have 100 billion Kenya shillings. You have 100 billion Kenya shillings. Do you know what a billion is? 1,000 million, 1,000 times. Will you be in a midweek service on Wednesday? Oh, you don't know what prosperity is. You get anything you want and anything that money can buy. And that's why sometimes it's good that we don't have so much, because you can have time to think about God. It's a covenant that you're entering in. So the same person who doesn't have should be the same person who has a lot. The same, no change, no change. The same person walking is the same one with the Range Rover. The same one with the Range Rover is the same one in the Kesha. There is no change. The material blessing has not changed you. The marriage doesn't change you. The children doesn't change you. The blessing doesn't change you. So it's a covenant. So you find that God looks at the hearts of the men, and he finds these people are honoring me with their lips. So this covenant that we are entering into, the Bible tells us we are in Hebrews chapter 9. Today I want to read Hebrews chapter 9 slowly as it's called systematic study. The systematic study is the verse by verse that I would like us to read. So it tells us here the first covenant. The first covenant. The first covenant is what we call the Old Testament. The Old Testament. So this is the Old Testament. That's the first covenant. The first covenant had, number one, ordinances. Ordinances. Ordinances is what God has. This is the order and divine service. I like that word. Of divine service had ordinances. and separate it with divine service. And then it had a physical or worldly sanctuary. So we see the first covenant. If we don't understand the first covenant, we will not understand the second covenant. We have to first understand, how did God now begin to bring man together? So this we see now in verse 2 explaining, for there was a tabernacle. So the physical sanctuary is what is called the tabernacle, where you find Christians today have been deceived to go from church to church. Ati ni Mungu, tunasafu Mungu. No, you are to make a covenant spiritually. Right now, there are things you cannot do. You cannot do in the physical that you see them doing in the spiritual. For example, like right now, the government has aligned us very well. You will find that you have got a birth certificate. That birth certificate is your address to the nation that you are born in. My birth certificate does not read Uganda. It doesn't read Tanzania. It doesn't read Dubai. And so that birth certificate, you cannot do anything right now without a birth certificate. But with corruption, you can do. If you want to go mukato, you can go ahead and do. But you start with a birth certificate. Then you move to right now what is called a NEMIS number. They have started with our children right now. Our children right now, each child right now has got a number that they are tracking them from PP1. Inkia PP1, play group now. Because before we used to move to ID 18. But today, no. We are tracking this child so that in future you don't complain, Governor so-and-so hana parua, all that. They want to cut that. So it's going to be difficult. For example, you come and then you tell us, Nilisoma, they'll ask, we will track the NEMIS number. The NEMIS number shows you very well how you're progressing with your school and how you are studying. Then later, when you reach 18, you get an ID. That ID right now, I went to the systems of KRA and I put my phone number. It brought everything about me. It brought my NTSA, it brought my KRA PIN, it brought everything. Link the bank account, brought everything about me. What we are talking about, the new world order. Linked everything. My phone number, it's not in myself, not in my body, not an ID. Just I put my phone number because they have linked them everything together. Linking them together. And so in the physical, there is an order. What makes you to think that in the spirit there is confusion? There's no confusion in the spirit. The spirit is more in order than the physical, because everything that has come in the physical is in the spirit. So there are protocols of how to go in the physical. What makes you think that you will do your own thing in the spiritual realm and then you think that you're okay? That's where the devil has taken advantage of the people in church. No accountability whatsoever. No accountability. You can't know the day you got born again. You can't know which church you are belonging to. You are just there, moving. Sometimes you are 6 months here, 6 months there. Sometimes you're moving 3 years. Every 3 years, maybe you've moved to another county. So you move from place to place, and your blessings are trying to locate you, and they are stuck in the spirit realm because they don't know. You don't have a physical address. We don't know how to get you. You are in no covenant. You are in no covenant. And so the orders, when we get the orders right, then we will realize how we can align ourselves to get our blessings and to get the fullness of God, because it has been already released. So there's a physical address. There is each one of us has a specific location, church and altar that God has placed you. So there was a physical tabernacle, and this tabernacle, it says, the first wherein was the candlestick. So we are seeing now, I don't know, there's a picture there of the tabernacle. You can look for it if it is there. In this, we are seeing God's order, the candlestick. Then there was the candlestick is the menorah. You can look for the menorah, which has got 7 candles. That's not the candlestick. That is the feast. Look for the picture of the tabernacle itself. The tabernacle itself. It used to be there. If it's not there, we'll look for it. So there's a candlestick. Any picture of the tabernacle that you have, you can put there for me. Any tabernacle picture, if you get them there. So, you see God putting order. The candlestick, I'll just mention it now, are the activation of the Spirit of God in you. So, representing fire. Representing fire. So, in the spirit realm, in the kingdom of darkness, when they look at a true believer, in the spirit realm, you have got fire inside. You have got fire. And especially now we are fasting. The fire inakuanga mingi kabisa. The time we entered and we were praying there, Sono was saying, I'm burning the person. And me, I'm feeling nothing. Nothing. With my physical sense, I'm not feeling anything. But the person is crying fire na chomeka. Misiski chochote. So it's the candlestick. Then there was the table of the showbread. There was the showbread representing the word of God. Representing the word of God. The word of God. So up to now, unaona mtu ameokoka miaka mingi, ana Biblia, doesn't have a Bible, and even if he has a Bible, he has the wrong version. Oh, I'm talking about order. So the showbread, which is called the sanctuary, and the Bible tells us here in verse 3, and after the second veil, so there was the tabernacle. It had the holy place and the holy of holies. Let me put my tabernacle this way, and let me put my gate this way to enter inside. Remember, I'm not talking about the outer court. I'm talking of the holy place. So we have had the table of showbread. We have got the menorah over here, the 7 candlesticks, the 7 spirits of the Lord. Then we have got the tabernacle. We have got the altar of incense. It was there in between. Before you enter now to the Holy of Holies, where you're going to find the Ark of the Covenant. You find the Ark of the Covenant that was there in the Ark of the Covenant. So The Bible tells us of the things that were there. It explains the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of holies. And verse 4 says, which had the golden censer, the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot. What was inside the ark of the covenant? 3 things. There was a golden pot inside, which had manna, the fresh word of God daily. Then it had got the Aaron's rod which budded. So the rod also represents the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God. And the tables of the covenant, the physical 10 commandments were inside. They were missing. And inside the covenant. We have not even started talking about your husband, your wife, your car. We're not even talking about that. That was not there. There's no petition. You see where we go wrong? Because people know church. There was not there saying I'm sick or saying there. That was outer court. The miracles of Jesus, those were for outer court. When we are entering inside, it was serious business. There's no here telling God your needs or crying, oh, I'm in debt, I'm in what, no. And that's what people have made church about. Church ni about mashida zako. So when somebody sees you in church, anajua wewe uko na shida. Somebody cannot believe that you're in church the whole day and you're okay. And you're in church the whole day and you're not, it's not talking about rent. No, it's not looking for a job. It's not that you're jobless. I'm in church because I'm okay. I'm enjoying the presence of God. I've come. That is what worship was. There was no work that they were doing in the wilderness. No. They woke up, he says they were so idle that they could not believe that God has brought us here. We have air condition. It is warm in the night. It is cool in the day. And there's nothing we are doing. We wake up in the morning to just go pick up. Food is there. See, because that is what everyone is doing. Food and clothing and shelter. And it was there. So there was nothing else. There is no that hard labor in Egypt. But to worship God. No, let's go back to Egypt. We want to work. Can't believe that God has brought us here and we are idle. That is what the mentality has always been of man. Worshipping God is being idle. Hauna kitu ya kufanya. Someone was telling me, "Wewe pastor, nataka tukuje kanisani sababu hauna kitu ya kufanya." It's not because sina kitu ya kufanya. We are talking about spiritual things, eternal things that are important. We are talking about life eternal. It's that when somebody is dying, is when, wonderful. That's well. Thank you for that picture. Is when somebody is dying. Have you ever thought of yourself the day you're going to die? And you'll never be in this place. Say, unaniuliza ni maswali ngumu, sitaki kufikiria. Fikiria, you have to read. Fikiria. You have all the time. Is when somebody is about to die is when you remember. Remember, verse 27 is there. It's appointed man wants to die. It is in still the same chapter, but we are in verse 4. So, verse 4 explains, leave the picture. Verse 4 explains, let me read this picture now so that we can bring back the picture. Verse 5 says, and over it the cherubims of glory, shouting the